So, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and I'm a gorilla in the wrist. Today we're looking at my 5 July AliExpress picks. Before I do that, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all those that subscribe to my channel and to ask that if you don't already and you enjoy the content, please hit that big red button. Thanks very much. So, first up today we have this military-inspired watch from... I'm going to have a go at pronunciation. If you give me a daft spelling of something, I will make it up myself. I'm going to call it Rodney. So this one has particularly good reviews, comes in at about £37. Comes in a couple of dial configurations as well. Appears to have reasonable lume and this slightly odd military style inscription on the back of it. In terms of the dimensions of the watch, again, they're not particularly clear from the advert. Somewhere between a dial diameter of somewhere between 34 and 37 millimeters, lug to lug of 42. It's only 11 millimeters thick, which is a bit strange, and has 19 millimeter lugs. Don't get me started. But the people that have bought this and have reviewed it like it. Despite some of its inherent flaws, so it only has a basic Miyota quartz movement in it. It only has K1 mineral crystal. However, it's a good looking watch. So I think people are seeing past that to actually the style of the watch. There's quite a few of these military inspired watches on AliExpress. But this one looks pretty good. I think my biggest problem with the watch isn't actually the watch itself. It's just the silly name. When somebody asks you, what's that on your watch? Introducing it as Rodney, not so sure. But it is a handsome, good-looking watch. I wish the dimensions were a bit clearer. I wish it had sapphire crystal. I wish it had more than 50 meters of water resistance. But even for all that, at this price, it's a good-looking watch. So certainly one that I think you should think about. I suspect I'd slap it onto a leather strap. So next up is the Seagull 6075. Now Seagull is a bit unusual as an AliExpress brand, given it's got some real heritage. It goes back about 60 years. I've never had one on the channel. This particular one comes in two different colours. It comes in black and white. It's a really simple dress watch, has that real mid-century vibe for it. So small second hand. It's got an open display case back showing that ST17 movement, which again is remarkable. And at this price, I've never seen a Seagull at this price before. £45. Just really good. They've sold a shed load of them. And so when you look at the reviews, 4.9 average, across 285 reviews, they must be doing something right. They just must. In terms of dimensions, you've got a 40mm dial width, 20mm lugs. The lug to lug isn't much different from the dial width, as you can see. And it does have a really interesting ST17 movement in it. It comes in at 10mm thick. Is that really true? So this is a fascinating one. I have got this one on order. I have to say Seagull's photography is fantastic. There's something very special about this particular watch. And I think when you reflect on the heritage of it, its long history, the 1963 Pilot, which I've had a very cheap quartz version of, but there is something rather special about this. I have to say I am really looking forward to this one arriving and giving it a review. My only hesitation is that leather strap looks like garbage. But for 45 quid, should we really be expecting more than that? Not sure. So next up is this Pagani Design PD1701, and congratulations to any eagle-eyed viewers who spots that I have reviewed the red one of these. But what we're looking at today is the blue one. So they've sold a shed load of these because they're such good watches. That's the one that I reviewed previously. However, the one that I'm really interested in is this because it looks radically different. In fact, you'd think it was a different watch if you didn't know any better. But it's well received, priced slightly over the £50 that I'd originally promised, but you can get that down through judicious use of discount codes. In terms of the basic measurements for this one, it's a 40-20 split, has a VK63 movement, sapphire crystal, decent looking bracelet on it. It just looks like a really good watch, and the red one that I reviewed before, which was on a bracelet, is a fantastic watch. Clearly an homage to the Moose watch, that one. Not so much this one, I don't think. It's got a very interesting looking nylon stroke leatherback strap on it. Just looks really, really good. I may well have to get one of these in, just because it looks so radically different. But certainly one I would recommend to you. So next up is the Meggear 8841. So if you fancy a Richard Mille watch, can't quite find the £60,000 that you require to buy it, don't worry, Meggear have got you covered. This one, you all know how much I love a ultra budget watch, and this one has been itching at the back of my throat for a while. It is a bit of a beast, I have to say. 43 millimeters across the dial, 52 millimeters lug to lug, only 14 millimeters thickness, which I have to say was a bit of a surprise because I was expecting this one to sit up like a sundial on your wrist, but apparently not. I have put an order in for these just for the fun of it, and I am looking forward to it. It's, as you would expect, at £18. It's a quartz movement. It has a mirrored crystal, which I'm guessing probably means just mineral. But it does come in a range of different colours. And I was slightly curious about the black and cream coloured one, but in the end, and the orange one's just a bit too bright for me. But in the end, I have plumped for the silver and blue. It's a chrono. Always used to have a chrono on your wrist. It has a date complication. It's just interesting. I like these because they're a lot of fun and you've got not very much to lose with them. The other Meggear I looked at was the racing chronograph, which actually was reasonably good and had a fantastic strap on it. Really enjoyed it. And this is another one of those. It's just a little bit of fun. For 20 quid, you're always going to be able to get your money back on it, so there's not much to lose if you don't really like it. And it has the added benefit that maybe you will. I am fascinated that they're claiming that this is vacuum surface. I have no idea what that means. But this is worth having a go at. And I think for somebody with a gorilla wrist, this is probably an okay watch to pick up and go with. My only slight hesitation with this one is that looking like a watch that costs 60,000 is great, except somebody who doesn't know a great deal about watches may well want to try and convince you to give it to them, and I'm not prepared to lose my arm for the sake of 20 quid. So I shan't be wearing it in London just because I suspect it's probably not safe to do so. But apart from that, this is quite an interesting one. I am really looking forward to this. It could go either way though. If it's terrible, it's going to get a roasting. So let's wait and find out, shall we? And finally, we have this Steelflyer SF745. Again, another military-inspired watch, a bit like the Rodney that we looked at first of all. I'm never going to get past calling that watch Rodney. They've sold a few of these. I think at £38, the spec is pretty good. There was a reason why I picked this one out, and that was because it has exactly the same case and ridiculously oversized onion crown that Tandorio use in one of their watches that I've reviewed recently. That is absolutely fantastic. This one has sapphire crystal. It has the Seiko VH31 movement in it, and as I say, it has that rather wonderful case. It's hard to describe. So these are smallish watches at 36 millimeters, but the crown on it is huge. A really good onion crown, and I really enjoyed it. When I reviewed the Tandorio one, I really enjoyed that too. And the people who've bought this seem to really like it. Now, in terms of which one I would go for, I would be tempted to go for the one with the leather strap, principally because I suspect the first thing I'm going to do is to sling this on a decent NATO, and I think the one it's on probably isn't as good. But for me, this has got a decent movement. We've got a Seiko VH31, sapphire crystal, and clearly is out of the same stable, because just looking at the engraving on the back, these are clearly out of the same stable as Steel Dive and Addy's Dive. And so my expectation of what the loom is going to be like is quite high. I just think this is a bit of an unusual one. I mean, military-inspired watches aren't necessarily unusual, but for me, that case is fantastic. Decent movement, sapphire crystal. I think this one is well worth a punt. I think it's also just dropped out of the sale price it was on, though, so you may want to hang around. It's currently on for about 50 quid. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a fantastic weekend.